Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. It begins in a haunted junkyard where a private security force escort the wealthy ghost hunter Cyrus. He and his psychic assistant Dennis lead the team on a nefarious mission to capture the ghost haunting the area called the Juggernaut. They capture a pair of spirit-liberating spies named Damon and Kalina who claim that Cyrus will never get his hands on the 13th ghost. Having already captured 11 and needing another one for his evil plan, Cyrus puts on his glasses and moves into position a giant glass cube to imprison the spirit. Using a truck to spray blood and ancient Latin prayers being chanted from speakers, they bait the powerful ghost towards their ambush. When the Juggernaut appears, he instantly begins killing all of the soldiers as he's much stronger than the previous ones they've dealt with. While fleeing through the blood-drenched junkyard, some heroic fool runs straight into the cube capturing the angry ghost, but the dude is beaten to death. Dennis somehow survives the ordeal as well as the activist Kalina, but her partner dies as well as the expedition's leader Cyrus. Sometime later, the depressed widow Arthur sits alone thinking about his late wife Jean, who recently perished in a house fire. He now stays with his daughter Kathy in their tiny little apartment with his young son Bobby and their helpful maid Maggie. While one day arguing about needing to find a new place to live, they have a convenient knock at the front door from the real estate lawyer Ben Moss. He informs the family that Arthur's uncle Cyrus has died and left all of his wealth to his nephew, including his mansion only a few hours' drive away. They're excited to see the new place but find Dennis snooping around outside pretending to work for a power company and asking to check out the breakers. The key left to Arthur unlocks the front door and activates the lights, revealing the residence to be made almost entirely of metal frames with glass walls. Mechanical contraptions shift the movable panels around as the group tours the maze of a mansion and hope that the bathroom's located in the basement. The etchings on the walls throughout the house are Latin phrases, and Maggie lets it be known that she won't be doing any window cleaning by herself. While they discuss the legal stuff, Dennis sneaks away from the group to check out the basement where he has painful visions of the ghosts they captured. He puts on a pair of glasses allowing him to see all of the spirits that Cyrus trapped within the walls of the basement, so he frantically runs upstairs to warn Arthur that the home he's about to live inside is haunted and he needs to get his kids out immediately. The lawyer assures Arthur that Dennis is just crazy and should be ignored, but then sneaks off alone with a set of the insight glasses to enter the basement. He walks straight past the ghosts like he's already seen them, then collects a hefty bag containing the money intended to be his payment for the job. It activates a mechanical contraption set up by Cyrus in the middle of the mansion that seals the entire house and turns off power to the first ghost's cube. The angry princess approaches, causing Moss to back up into an open doorway where glass panels slide closed, slicing him down the middle like a Subway sandwich. Arthur then goes looking for his children, who seem to have somehow disappeared in a glass house. While exploring the rooms, Kathy finds a bathroom with frosted walls when the princess joins her, but without a pair of the glasses on she's unable to see the blood-filled tub. She's leaning over it when the angry spirit lashes out, but Arthur enters and it disappears, leaving Kathy unaware that anything was about to happen. They then search for Bobby, who hears his name being called from the basement and goes down despite a second woman's voice telling him to stay away. At the sight of a spirit called the Bound Woman, he runs away terrified, but falls over in front of another called the Living Torso, scaring him so much that he runs into a glass wall and knocks himself unconscious. His father's unable to smash through the walls to escape, so that's when Dennis reveals that they're shatterproof and designed to imprison the 12 spirits. A containment spell written on the glass works the same as speaking the words, but Cyrus's contraption has been releasing the ghosts during timed intervals since activation. Dennis doesn't know why it's happening and doesn't want to go anywhere near the basement, but Arthur promises to pay him everything his uncle owes him if he'll help find his son. By the time they get downstairs, a couple more of the cubes have already opened, so the group decides to split up into pairs to find Bobby sooner. When he wakes up, the spirit of his mother warns Bobby to run to his father, but he's too in shock to move and is captured by the ghost of Cyrus. Arthur's still skeptical about the existence of the ghost tenants until Kathy puts on the glasses and gets attacked by an angry spirit called the Jackal. He's unable to see the ghost as it pins Kathy against a wall and begins ripping at her clothing, so Arthur just grabs his daughter and plays some tug-of-war with her legs. Suddenly Kalina enters and scares the Jackal away with a flare before they drag Kathy down the hall behind one of the barriers that keeps the spirit contained. Once Arthur's put on the glasses, he sees the spirit with his own eyes as Kalina explains that she snuck inside while the house was shifting and that it's actually a machine built by Cyrus. It was designed by a 15th century astronomer while he was possessed by a demon and is supposed to open a portal to hell using the combined power of the dead. Kalina says that she's come to free the trapped souls, while Arthur just wants to find his son and escape, but has now also lost his daughter. Meanwhile, Dennis lets Maggie wear the glasses, giving her the ability to see the spirit covered in railway spikes called the Hammer. They attempt to escape, but the walls continue to shift, making navigation difficult and releasing more ghosts like the Firstborn son. Trying to run away, they get separated when a wall comes between them and Dennis gets trapped inside a cube with the torn prince. The 1940s baseball player swings at Dennis, but he tumbles out of the cube to rejoin Maggie before the wall traps the spirit inside. The pair then get scared away by the great child and dire mother, as well as the Pilgrimess, all of whom have detailed backstories irrelevant to the plot. Running into Arthur and Kalina, they set off for the library as it's protected by a spell and doesn't change like the rest of the house. Dennis falls behind with painful visions when Arthur's attacked by the jackal, but the psychic's able to throw one of Kalina's flares at the spirit, knocking it away. The group makes it into the library, but Arthur's wounded in the process, and Kalina explains that all of the spirits were collected by Cyrus to perform a ritual. Each represents one of 12 rolls in a satanic book called the Black Zodiac that's like a recipe for opening a hell mouth at the center of the house. Cyrus was going to use it to obtain ultimate knowledge, and to Arthur's horror he discovers that the fourth ghost powering this machine is the spirit of his dead wife. Kalina goes on to tell Arthur that the only way to end this before the 12th ghost is released is to offer up a willing 13th as a pure soul sacrifice. She suggests that Arthur do it in exchange for saving his children's life, as there's no more pure reason and it will result in the machine shutting down. Kalina says that she'll take a heap of explosives and blow the machine afterwards, so Arthur makes another attempt to save his kids before that happens. Using a pane of glass as a magical shield, he and Dennis carry it into the basement, where they face the torn prince swinging for the fences. They crush him against a wall, but the celebration's short-lived when the hammer arrives, so Dennis pins Arthur into a corner where he's protected by the glass. He lures the big guy away, but after evading some of the hammer's attacks, Dennis gets distracted when the spirit of the Juggernaut gets released as the 12th ghost. The hammer crushes his hand, and cornered between the two, he's beaten to death while Arthur watches it happen from behind the safety of his protection spell. Meanwhile, Kalina knocks out Maggie with the book when Cyrus is revealed to be alive, having faked his death in order to lure Arthur to the house. Kalina's his secret lover and murdered her own partner Damon, as orchestrated by Cyrus so that Arthur would become the 13th ghost that'll power the machine. She doesn't sound too keen on killing the kids, but Cyrus says that sacrifices have to be made, then traps her behind a glass wall. Another closes in, crushing her to death, while Cyrus activates a tape recorder, summoning all the entities from below them to the machine's core. It gives Arthur a calming moment with Jean's spirit before it's quickly pulled away like the rest of them, and Arthur follows it to the center of the building. Kathy and Bobby have been placed in the middle beneath a set of rotating rings when Arthur puts the glasses on, giving him the ability to see the ghosts surrounding it. This is when Cyrus steps out with his neck makeup, still pretending to be one of the ghosts, but having figured it out that Cyrus mustn't be dead if there's no 13th ghost, the nephew fights the uncle for trying to sacrifice his kids. Cyrus wins and intends to use his cane blade to force Arthur into making the sacrifice in order to save his children, as the 13th ghost needs to be created out of love. They're suddenly interrupted when Maggie messes up the tape recorder holding the spirits in place, and Arthur knocks Cyrus to the ground in his distraction. The ghosts gang up on their captor, who's thrown by the group towards the hostages, where the whirling rings slice him into little pieces that go straight to hell. The machine begins to malfunction due to Maggie's sabotage, and the house starts to explode when Dennis appears as a ghost to Arthur. He encourages him to go save his kids, and when there's a gap in the rings he jumps through just as the explosions reach him to save his children. The entire mansion of containment spells is destroyed, releasing the spirits from captivity, who just wander off into the forest and disappear. A much less burnt version of Jean comes rotating around the lazy Susan to say that she loves her family before moving on with the rest of the spirits. The final scene shows Dennis disappear before a battle-damaged Maggie emerges from the basement shouting that she quits as they haven't enough money in the world to keep her on. And the movie ends.